Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This tale is one I think is very, very disturbing. It is definitely a retrograde step. It is possibly one of the worst decisions ever made in medical history. It's so bad that I think even the decision to go with it could be seen as severe medical negligence. And that's before anyone is even referred. Even allowing this to happen could be seen as negligence. Certainly it will open up the NHS in Scotland to untold damages claims further down the line. It is so wrong, and yet they're going with it because they're too scared not to. The people who are making the decisions don't want to be seen as transphobic, and so what they're doing is effectively legalising and making simple the absolute destruction of people's lives, and especially vulnerable people. Vulnerable people who need protection are losing it. They are going to go down a one-way track made so simple that nobody is safeguarding anyone. It is one of the worst medical decisions ever taken I think I've ever seen. So we're going to go straight into this story, but honestly, it's even beyond parody now. It is this seriously bad. And you thought the NHS in Scotland couldn't get worse. Boy, has it got worse. Here goes. So Fury, as Chief Medical Officer, feared to approve activist wish list of fast-track, irreversible surgery for trans patients. When we get into this, you'll see why this is so bad. The SNP government's top health advisor has been told to urgently find his backbone after apparently approval of the controversial document to make trans healthcare available without any mental health investigation. Think about that. You can get people, children effectively, going to a doctor, a GP, asking to be transed, and the GP just dishing out these pills like Smarties. No advancement to see a clinical psychiatrist, no advancement to see a psychologist, no one specialising in this, in this problem. Just simply writing out a chit and handing it over. Or parents of a gay child who would rather have a trans child than a gay child. Transhousing them, transhousing children, just simply on a whim. No control. It's unbelievable. The Scottish Government's Chief Medical Officer has sparked outrage after signing off guidance that could lead to local GPs prescribing hormones and surgery to gender-confused patients, including children. An NHS Scotland document raised eyebrows at the end of 22 when it suggested new transgender treatment rules, including calls for barriers to gender reassignment surgery to be removed, and proposed radical measures to make operations like breast removal more widely available. Young girls just going, I want to be a boy now, having these breasts, and not even having to discuss it, just going in and okay, we'll take them off, like that. Without discussing the mental issues that you're going to find. Or to have a man, or a boy even, having his genitals removed, without understanding the pain and agony he's going to live in for the rest of his often very short life. The self-ending rates of people who go through trans surgery is shockingly high, 10 times higher than the sort of background rate you get. It is shockingly bad, and nobody is protecting these children. It stated that the patient's background or mental health need not be examined in detail before they're referred for these procedures. How is this even possible? This has got no safeguarding for anyone who is vulnerable. Professor Gregor Smith, the CMO, has been on the receiving end of criticism, and quite rightly, after stating he was happy to sign off. The Scottish Government say the decision is not final and refute concern that this or a final document has been approved. They state it will be one paper of many to inform final decisions. But he's already stating he's happy to approve it. He should be fired as the CMO with immediate effect. Campaigners are warning that this could amount to an activist wish list for experimental medication and extreme cosmetic surgery on demand. MP Joanna Cherry said MP Joanna Cherry calling it an alarming departure from evidence-based medicine in Scotland. It is so wrong. It is absolutely, unbelievably wrong, because nobody has the balls to stand up to these trans activists and say no. And it needs people to say no. The NHS report, titled Scottish Pathway to Trans Healthcare, supports the affirming model of non-surgical for children, despite contradicting the expert CAS review for NHS England that saw an end to similar practices. They had a full investigation, the CAS report. We've covered it several times. And that was actually leading to the closure of this kind of thing in England entirely. And they were talking about the damage, the permanent mental and physical and emotional damage to children who do this. And they've changed policy. It's been so done with experts at every stage. Medical experts, psychoanalytical experts, you name it. All the experts had this. And they have said, no, we've got enough and that's it. And they've stopped it in England. And not only are Scotland not stopping it, they're going one stage further to making it easier in order to do more damage to children. It is unbelievable. Anyway, instead, the core of the policy focuses on the controversial World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which sounds very much like someone wanting to make it Warpath, but it's actually a cover for pushing non-evidence, non-medical, non-scientific bullshit onto people who are willing to listen in order to push their sick agenda of destroying children and their futures. When the guidance came to light, gender critical activists voiced their fears for patients in light of growing evidence against affirmation in place of clinical guidance. It must be medical-led, science-led, clinical-led, not the whims of a bunch of mentally ill people. The Freedom of Information publication detailed Professor Smith's approval of SPAS. The Scottish Conservative Deputy Leader, Megan Gallagher MSP, said any change will cause concern for parents, especially if the prescription of hormones and surgery can now be done by a GP without psychological assessment. You have children who are depressed, who are in grief, who are in some way on the spectrum, autistic, Asperger's or some such like that. They are more vulnerable than others and they can be pushed easier down. And indeed, the CAS report showed, and we've covered this as well, that of all the children who went to the clinic, the transgender clinic in London, Tavistock, and she analysed them. And she said of all the children that have gone through there on this gender reassignment route, 98% of them were in some way vulnerable and were not transgender. 98% should never have gone down that line. They've had their lives destroyed because of the trans lobby pushing their degenerate beliefs and the establishment lacking any sign of a backbone or cojones to stand up to this lunatic left bunch of dangerous wankers and say, no, you are mentally ill and we are no longer listening to you. 98% of all children destroyed because of the trans lobby. That's what they do. They destroy children. Anyway, Megan Gallagher continued. This risks putting young people on a path of medicalisation that they may come to regret. Most do. This is the fact as well. It is important to strike the right balance between those experiencing genuine gender dysphoria, which is incredibly rare, fewer than 1 in a million, and those who need support for other undiagnosed conditions, one of which is simply being gay. The safety and well-being of our young people must be our number one priority here, but it isn't. It's being abandoned so that the establishment can kiss the arse of the likes of Stonewall. Stonewall must be declared for what it is, a terrorist organisation. What it's doing to children is appalling, and they use basically organised crime methods. Give me £100,000 and I'll let you put a plaque on the wall. And if you don't, we're going to tell everyone you're transphobic. Well, let me tell you, I ain't putting a plaque up. I ain't giving you a penny. Call whoever you like. Tell them I'm transphobic, because I don't give a shit. Trina Budge from For Women Scotland. Again, we've covered her as well. Wonderful woman, very brave. She told the Scottish Express that they will absolutely be stunned if the guidance is implemented. Miss Budge said, "It is nothing short of an activist wish list for experimental medication and extreme cosmetic surgery on demand, and it is utterly blind to the growing cognizance that there is scant evidence for the effectiveness of any of this treatment." And there is zero, because the problem isn't the body. The problem is the mind. You need to treat the mind. Recklessly dispensing with the need for diagnosis or any mental health support, she said. It passes responsibilities onto already overworked GPs to dish out these cross-sex hormones and make referrals for mastectomies for physically healthy but troubled and confused young girls, some of whom believe they don't have a sex. Hey, what could possibly go wrong? Well, I think we see a 10 times increase in self-ending rates. She accused the guidance of utterly lacking in medical ethics, and said those of the view of those devastatingly impacted by transcare in Scotland should not have been considered. Said it prioritises the lived experience of those on the waiting list over detransitioners who have been denied any opportunity to input on how the service could learn from the serious mistakes it keeps making. And that's it. They don't ever listen to detransitioners because the trans lobby sort of blinds people to these people. They go, "Oh no, you mustn't listen to them. You mustn't listen to them. Oh, the detransitioners. Oh no, they're just a bit weird." They're a bit weird. You're the weird ones wanting it in the first place, and you're the dangerous ones pushing it on others. Listen to the detransitioners, the regrets they have, their lives ruined, destroyed, sterilised. They are sterilising children on a scale not seen since the likes of Auschwitz and Sobibor and Dachau. But that's who these people are. I'm stopping and I'm coming up because I'm getting angry. I think anyone with half a brain can see how dangerous this policy is. Children will be basically bullied into transing, regret it, will want to detransition, they'll have had their lives ruined, they'll be sterilised, and then they're going to sue the NHS for allowing it to happen with no oversight, no safeguarding. The NHS will get sued to smithereens. It's already happening in England, where the Tavistock kids have got together. They're having a class action against the NHS. It's going to come to billions of pounds. And now Scotland is opening this up as well. Sheer lunacy. And all because the mentally ill want to keep pushing the degenerate agenda of mass sterilisation of children. It's got to stop. And it's got to stop now. And you have to address it. You have to speak to people. It needs to be made very public, and people need to know. So please, for heaven's sake, share this video. Like it and share it, and let's get it out there. Anyway, I shall bring it to an end now. Thank you very much for watching. It just got me so angry and so mad about it. But thanks very much for watching. Anyway, until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and for heaven's sake, protect your children from these absolute lunatics. Goodbye.